welcome back to my channel, Authentically Nat. If you're new here, my name is Natalie. I'm Latina, recently graduated law student. If you haven't checked out my latest graduation vlog, make sure to go check that out. And a lifestyle content creator here on YouTube. Here I just like to share my thoughts on how I navigate work-life balance between, my starting legal career and my personal life. I, on this channel, really value things like balance and self-care, and I just like to talk about things that work for me and things that don't. So yeah, and if you are not new here, welcome back. I'm so excited for you guys to be here. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if those things that I just talked about sound interesting to you, because as you can see, our little community is growing, started from 0 all the way to 100 and something. So that may not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but it's a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for being here, the ones that are subscribed, and the ones that are not subscribed, thank you also so much for being here and clicking on this video. Okay, so today's video, as you can see by the title, we are going to be talking about self-worth. Self-worth comes from within. It's something that we are born with. It is something that never leaves us throughout our entire life. And after I understood that concept, I still kind of struggle with it sometimes, but after I was introduced to that concept and really understood that concept, it has helped me a lot in my self-confidence, in my self-esteem, in my self-respect. And so yeah, the big idea here is that we are all born with self-worth. The day we are born with 100% worthiness. And that doesn't go away, ever. Self-worth is innate, it's inherent, it's inside of us simply because we are human. And it doesn't require anything else. I used to think it required perfection in different areas of my life. I had to be the perfect friend, the perfect daughter, the perfect partner, the perfect student. That's how I could be worthy. But the more I realized that that's not true, that I am worthy simply because of my humanness, simply because I am a human being, I am Natalie, I am me, that helped me to release this pressure off myself when I would make mistakes, or where I wasn't too good at certain things in my life. It helped me to understand in those moments, yes, I'm not perfect in this area. Yes, I'm making mistakes, and yes, I'm going to work on bettering myself, but it doesn't mean I'm not worthy. It doesn't mean I'm not good enough, because I'm good enough in every single stage of my life, in my learning stages, in my prosperous stages, in the stages where I'm, learning and making mistakes and growing. I am good enough in all of those stages. And so that's the main message today, and I think that's what, if you take anything away from this video, it's that you were born with worthiness, and your worthiness comes from inside. It comes from you being human. And having been introduced to that concept has really changed the way I view myself and how I go about life. Well, we're gonna dive into some examples of, how sometimes in the past, I think people in general sometimes tend to tie their self-worth to external things in their life. So for example, I used to tie my self-worth to my achievements. And I used to think, the more I achieve in my career, specifically in my student life, the more worthy I am. And the problem with that is that when I wouldn't succeed, when I would try something new, for example, law school, when I tried law school for the first time, my first year of law school, it was really hard for me. It was extremely hard for me. It was something I'd never experienced before. I was a pretty good student before, and I was always used to getting near perfect grades, and in law school, in the first year, I just wasn't. Even though I was studying and I was trying, and I almost like gave up because I was like, I was in this mindset of like, if I'm not perfect in this topic area, or I'm not, then I keep making mistakes and I'm not good enough for it. I kept tying my worthiness and how and good enough I felt for the career and stuff with the external results that I was seeing, at first. And, as I spoke a lot with my therapist, my friends and family, I started to realize that I am good enough simply because of who I am, not because of what I do, not because of what I achieve. And when I started to meditate on that and remind myself of that, it helped me to be easier on myself. In law school, I was like, you know what? I'm not really good at this right now. But that doesn't mean I'm not good enough. That doesn't mean I'm not good enough for this career. That doesn't mean that, I'm not worthy of this career. I got this. People can make mistakes and they get up and they keep trying and they keep trying. Because if I stayed in the mindset of like, I need to be perfect at everything I do in order to feel worthy, who knows where I would be? I don't know if I would have finished law school, and I know I'm meant to be here. And I know that, with the grace of God, I am going to, I'm going to help people, because that's what I came to law school for. So yeah, I think one of the biggest messages that I want to convey in this video as well is that like the importance of understanding, in my opinion, the importance of understanding how self-worth comes from within and not tying self-worth to external things. It shows up in so many areas of our life. It has shown up in my, obviously, professional career, in my relationships and things like that. And like, the more I understand that my worth comes from inside, the better I'm able to navigate those areas. So that was just an example. Another example that's very important to me that I want to convey is that I used to tie my self-worth to what I looked like. I used to think in my head, and this is kind of like a trigger warning for anybody who has like disordered thoughts on eating or disordered thoughts on body image. So if you want to click out, because I'm about to talk about some of the thoughts that I used to have and sometimes still have. I used to think to myself, I will be happy, I will be confident when I have the body that I want, when I reach a certain aesthetic goal. That's when I'll be happy, that's when I'll be confident, that's when no one will be able to tell me anything. And it was so important to me because I used to think, and sometimes it's still hard to navigate this thought, and I used to think my self-worth comes, like from what I said, my self-worth comes from my appearance. My self-worth comes from what I externally look like. And when I tie my self-worth to that, when a person ties their self-worth to their body image and their appearance and their physical appearance and what they look like, in my opinion, that can be very dangerous, because what we look like fluctuates all the time. What I looked like when I was 15 years old is not what I look like today. What I looked like when I was 19, 20 years old is not what I look like today. And when I tie my self-worth to that, it's like when I, don't feel like I'm at this aesthetic goal that I want, then I'm like, in my head, I'm like, well, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. You know. And that gets and I used to get in my head of like, in terms of like how I would, just an example, navigate relationships. In order to be in this relationship, I need to be this pretty. I need to be this and that in terms of my body image. And it's like, the more I realized that my self-worth, I am worthy, I am good enough, exactly how I am in all my stages of my life. And it is not tied to what I look like. It helped me to really understand the person who I choose to be in a relationship with, whether it be the person that I choose to be in a relationship with, in a romantic relationship with, the people I choose to have platonic friendships with, the people I choose to have, familial relationships with, anything like that, they are going to accept me for who I am, and they are going to love me regardless of what I look like. And if they don't, then, that person's not aligning with my values and my beliefs. And I, probably should distance myself from that person, So, having this belief and understanding that my worth does not fluctuate based on what I look like helped me a lot to really, really hone in. I deserve love and respect in every single stage, regardless of what I look like. And it has been very freeing and liberating to understand that. And so, to wrap up this video and to wrap up this message of why understanding that self-worth comes from within is important, is because when you understand that self-worth comes within and you're born with it, and there's nothing that you can do for it to go away, that we are worthy wholly and completely because we're humans, we understand that our self-worth is permanent. It's stable. It doesn't go up and down. Versus when we tie our self-worth to achievements or, other external things like how like good we are in our interpersonal relationships, all that stuff. It fluctuates because sometimes we achieve the things we want to do and sometimes we don't, and that's just life. We're not going to be perfect in our interpersonal relationships, and like we're not going to know how to navigate everything straight off the bat, and sometimes like we may make mistakes in our interpersonal relationships, but that doesn't mean at that moment it's like, well, I messed up, so I'm not good enough, I deserve bad treatment, I'm not worthy of love and care. When we tie our self-worth to these external things, it fluctuates, it goes up and down, because that's what life is. These external things, they're not always permanent. But when we tie our self-worth to who we are inside, when we understand that it's innate, that it's inherent, that we are born with self-worth, we're able to understand, in my opinion, that self-worth is permanent. It's stable. It doesn't go up and down. It stays within us. And no matter how many mistakes we make, no matter how imperfect we are still worthy. And so, if somebody is trying to tell you like, oh, well, you've messed up too many times, you don't deserve a good life. You don't deserve a good friendships, good romantic relationships. You don't deserve that. It's not true. They don't understand that self-worth comes from inside. And maybe, possibility, they could be projecting to what they feel, how they feel their self-worth is tied to external things. But if you understand that it's not, you let that slide right off your shoulders. So, that is it for this video. That is it for this message. And I really hope that you guys were able to take away something from it and resonate with it. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, I am super, super grateful for you. And just know that I know that you're a real one. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It helps a lot with engagement. Gets my video to be seen by more people, I think. Yeah, I would really appreciate that. And if you like what I had to say, and you know, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As we go through this journey, I'm going to continue to be talking about, you know, all things in terms of balance and self-love and self-care, and what that looks like in different stages and areas. And you know, I also do vlogs of like how I take care of myself, what works for me in terms of organization, in terms of me trying to achieve balance, and you know, sharing that with y'all. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.